We've played some insane games over the years, many of which brought graphical capabilities that often pushed the envelope of what gaming hardware could achieve. The current generation of consoles and PC hardware has been exceptionally good at bringing several great titles to life, showcasing just how far video game graphics have come, from the once pixelated games we remember from back in the day. Now, we thought of quite a few titles that were developed since 2020, but ultimately decided that remakes of older titles would be a great way to showcase the manner in which modern graphics enhance the games that they aim to recreate. So, without further ado, let's dive right into our picks for games that demonstrate just how much graphics in video games have evolved over the years. 1. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater.
You'll be falling at 130 miles per hour. Try not to get frostbite from the wind chill.
1 minute to drop off. Move to the rear.
Activate bailout bottle.
This is one for the history books. The world's first Halo jump.
10 seconds to drop off. Stand by. Status okay?
Konami's decision to give a modern makeover to Naked Snake's original adventure was a decision we wholeheartedly supported after seeing the end result. While the original game did have its charms, its graphics did start showing their age after several replays over the years. However, the remake did a great job of giving the experience a complete overhaul on the graphical front. Naked Snake and his fellow cast of memorable characters look better than before with improved character models, while the world his adventure takes place in was blessed with a sheen of immersion that had us glued to our screens for every second of it. This one was an excellent showcase of the point we're trying to make, and a lovely way to enjoy a source of many fond memories over the years. 2. Resident Evil 2. This last-gen remake was an already solid take on the original adventure, its improvements pushing the title into a new era of relevance among gamers who may not have had the chance to try it out back in the day, but it was the current-gen updates that truly brought Leon and Claire's efforts to escape Raccoon City to life, with improved resolutions and ray trace graphics that made every area in the game feel fresh yet familiar. The nostalgia was well backed up by the graphical marvels that this one brought to us, making the entire experience hit all the more harder as a result. This one certainly wasn't afraid to punch up, and continues to be a beacon for modern-day graphics and gaming. 3. Silent Hill 2. The Bloober team sure did hit gold with this one. It was everything a remake of the original experience should have been, and the graphical overhaul it received made it surpass even the original experience. The very air around James seemed to shimmer with malevolence as he made his way through the painstakingly craftier levels of the game, each of which is a lovely argument in favor of evolved graphics, lending a fresh layer of realism to a title that's probably been played too many times to count among its loyal fans. Silent Hill 2 is as good as they come on the graphical front, and is another great game made even better with a graphical overhaul. 4. Shadow of the Colossus. Alright, allow us to level with you. We approached this 2018 PS4 remake with a fair bit of trepidation. It isn't easy to forget the many hours of frustration that a game that's designed to be as opaque as it can be gives you. Each of the mighty colossi we took on back in the day had us feeling despair and frustration, considering the fact that we were quite young when we tried it out. But Bluepoint's efforts to invigorate the experience with a graphical overhaul is nothing short of spectacular. We soon found ourselves in the thick of the action, our muscle memories prompting intentions against the giants that we were taking on. It wasn't a coincidence that this one sold approximately 70% over its original release. Bluepoint probably used a lot of the lessons it learned with this one to make its take on Demon's Souls be as awesome as it was. 5. Dead Space.
Use run to move quickly.
lost the port
The
booster.
Ishimura was the first
Unbelievable.
Tracker-class vessel and is now the oldest serving, with 60...
Although EA wasn't too happy with how this remake performed in 2023, that doesn't take away from the fact that rebuilding the game from the ground up while letting the Frostbite engine show off its chops was a smart choice. Dynamic lighting and blazing fast loading times ensured that Isaac's fight against the necromorphs and his own psychosis were given a new layer of immersion and engagement, with levels seamlessly loading into each other and each one popping out with incredible detail, and a level of polish that the original game just couldn't achieve due to the limitations of the systems it was meant to run on. But all of that is in the past, as Dead Space is now a beacon for current-gen focused remakes that make use of the tech to make an experience that feels brand new. 6. Final Fantasy VII. Both the remake and Intergrade really did a number on the original experience, making Midgar feel like a new world entirely. Cloud Strife's adventure was made even better thanks to a more streamlined story and an improved combat system that benefited from buttery smooth frame rates on current-gen consoles, while also bringing all the bells and whistles of modern hardware to the table. As a game that aims to recapture the magic of the original, this one did quite well to be more than just a fresh coat of paint, a feat made possible by the improvements that modern gaming hardware is able to enable. 7. Mafia Definitive Edition. The Mafia franchise is already famous for its cinematic quality and presentation, but the first entry in the franchise was limited by what the PS2 could achieve at the time. But 2 generations of consoles later, Tommy Angelo's rise to prominence within the ranks of the Salieri crime family is now an adventure that looks so good and plays so well, it's hard to remember what the original game felt like. Hangar 13's efforts to rebuild things from the ground up paid off, and the first Mafia title is now a great introduction to the franchise, given a new lease of life by graphical improvements that were facilitated by upgraded tech. 8. System Shock 1. We can't help but wonder if the folks over at Night Dive Studios saw something we didn't that prompted the idea to remake a 1994 classic that might have slipped under the radar of the modern gamer, considering the many years that had passed since its release. However, your character's attempts to stop the malevolent AI program Shodan in its tracks were made all the better by a remake that feels oddly relevant today. That makes System Shock a game that was ahead of its time even better by its modernization and graphical overhaul. The 7 years it took to develop this one were definitely worth it. 9. Yakuza Kiwami 2. This one certainly earned the Kiwami in its title, a Japanese word meaning ultimate. The last and current gen versions of this game are a great display of how video game graphics have evolved. There's a reason this one won the awards it did, bringing a revival of the original experience that brought a lot of graphical improvements, while also elevating the experience through them. Kazuma Kiryu's adventure becoming all the more immersive alongside a very welcome additional chapter focused on Goro Majima. 10. Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy. Colorful, charming, confident, those are the sentiments that were foremost during our time with the original games, but the N. Sane Trilogy took things up a notch with a visual overhaul of a largely faithful recreation of all 3 games that made this one truly stand out amongst a sea of remakes. High-res textures, dynamic lighting, improved draw distances, and reworked animations did a very good job at giving the OG trilogy a new lease of life. Besides, Coco Bandicoot being a playable character was just the icing on the cake. We'd go as far as to say that the improvements on this one were insane, enough to make us sit up and take notice of the painstaking efforts that went into it. And that's a wrap on games that had a graphical leap that showcased just how far the gaming world has come, and the manner in which the experiences it brings to us year after year have now been elevated thanks to how realistic the worlds they take us to have become. Hey, did you know that we at Gaming Bolt upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.